What's going on, everyone? Today we have the RTX 5050. This is the Gigabyte gaming version. It's got 8 gigs of VRAM. We're going to be pairing it today with the 14600K and 32 gigs of RAM. We're going to be going through this title layer by layer and checking out all the different settings to ensure that you get the best visual fidelity at the best possible frame rate. With all that out of the way, if you get something out of this, please consider subscribing by clicking that little button down there at the bottom, and let's jump into the video. All right, we're just going to check out Control today with the RTX 5050. And right now we're on the lowest possible preset, no ray tracing, no upscaling, and we're at a nice 220 FPS here. So of course we've got some room we can go. We can explore some more. Let's just shoot from the hip and jump over to the very next preset, which would be medium. And we're going to check it out slowly and go layer by layer and just see what it takes to get this card to run as high as we can possibly get. So just switching over to that medium preset, bring my metrics back. That drops us down to about 145 FPS. Still really nice. Of course, everything is pretty flat, and we're at 1080p. But this card is the entry-level Blackwell GPU, so you get some frame generation and some DLSS. That's the latest and greatest. So we're just going to keep exploring and see what we can do on this particular title. It's got the latest Blackwell cores with the latest Blackwell RT cores. We're just going to see what it takes to kind of where the break point is on a card this inexpensive, and then see what we can do as far as managing that VRAM and making sure that we get a good experience no matter what our budget is, because that's what I do here. I like to show you everything that you can expect from these cards at different settings, different resolutions. So again, we're just right here at 1080p. We're going to go over to the high preset. That drops us down to 116 FPS. Images are starting to look like they have a little bit more life in them. This game is a little easier to run since it's a series of corridors. It's more blocked off rooms and not necessarily big wide open spaces. So I say this a lot. It depends on the game. It depends on the resolution. It depends on if you want ray tracing, not if you want frame generation or not. It just all depends. It's completely personal. So I like to show you all the different settings so you can make your own determination. None of this is by any means a recommendation of what to do. I do like to take a moment at the end to show you what I would do, but that's just what I would do. You can do whatever you want to do, of course. So take that with a grain of salt. Anytime I say like this is good, just remember that's my perspective. All right, so let's just keep on going down here. Quality preset, we're already up to ultra. Let's see what that does. This is ultra at 1080p, and that gives us 82 FPS, very respectable. We're managing our VRAM quite nicely. We've got 8 on this card, which is low, but at 1080p we should have a pretty good experience with that 8 gigs. And of course that VRAM S down there, the third one from the bottom, that will show our spilled VRAM. That will always be at least some number. What you don't want to see is that it is going up from that number. So at 810, we're looking like we are, using about 810 gigs of the, or 810 megabytes of the shared VRAM with the system. It will never be 0 no matter what. So just take that into consideration. We just don't want to see it moving up a lot. All right, so let's just jump over here and go to our next level of presets. I don't know why that wasn't popping up when I wanted it to. All right, so let's take a look. All right, so right now we are at ultra. Everything's completely maxed out, and we don't have any ray tracing enabled. So let's go ahead and turn on the medium ray tracing, which is where this title starts at, and let's see what that does. Now that gives us a little bit of nice reflections in these windows and stuff like that. So 67 FPS is very respectable. We've got still 810, 811 megabytes of shared, so we're not spilling over, even despite we are using some ray tracing here. So at 7.5 gigs of allocated VRAM, we're looking like we're in a good spot here. So let's just keep pushing it because we have not used any DLSS at the moment. So we still have that up our sleeve if ray tracing proves to be a little bit harder to run as we toggle up into these different ray tracing presets. So let's just keep on going here. All right, so ray tracing, let's go ahead and go up to high. We're not using any upscaling. We're not using any frame gen at the moment. So that gives us 50 FPS, so definitely a hit. We went under 60, so we're going to throw in some DLSS to get that back up and see what that does for us. So right now at 50 FPS with that high ray tracing, with the highest preset, we're looking at 49 FPS, and we're looking like 7.4 gigs of allocated VRAM using 6.8. Our spilled VRAM is right there at 813, so not moving very much at all. That's good to see. All right, so we're having a nice little experience here with this card. So let's just jump down here and turn on some upscaling. So right now we are at this this display right here, so we just need to upscale it, which going this way is upscaling, going this way is the super sampling. We're going to avoid that. We're definitely not going to do that at all. So we're going to upscale it to 720, which is a quality upscale, and that's going to give us a little boost up to 71. So maybe we'll be able to kick on some more of that ray tracing and see what it runs like with ultra ray tracing at the highest preset. So right here, we're just going to jump into it and keep on going. So let's jump down here, get our ray tracing toggled down, and go all the way up on our ray tracing. If I can get it to show me. All right, scroll down some. There we go. All right, if I can get it to show it. All right, so that's all of the ray tracing enabled. I'm going to turn that off. And hopefully that wasn't on. If I didn't catch that, my apologies. Let's just see what it does. All right, so it looks like it wasn't on. Okay, that's good. It looks like it tried to just kick it on automatically. No, says I. We are not going to do that right now. We are doing a controlled test. All right, so right now with quality DLSS, ultra ray tracing, and fully maxed out presets, you are right at 60. All right, so anyway, let's see what we can do on this title if we do jump up to 1440 and just kind of push it a little bit further. You know, if you do like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing. It would help me out a lot. None of this is cheap to do. None of these games are cheap to buy. So, you know, anything that you can do to help me get to where I need to get to would be greatly appreciated. All right, so right now we are on the Ultra preset. I think we're going to start with no ray tracing, leave it on Ultra, and just see what this does. We're not going to upscale. All right, so no upscaling. 1440p, that's 51 FPS with Ultra. So looks like about a 60 FPS experience is what you can expect. Of course, we've killed the ray tracing because we went up in our resolution. So we had to give up something else. We gave up the ray tracing, and that gets us right above 60, or right about 60, not above. But yeah, let's just jump in here and turn on some upscaling. So this would be a quality upscale. And let's see what that does for us and see if that gives us the ability to then introduce some ray tracing maybe. So about 90 FPS, just shy of 90. And yeah, I think if you could get away with at least low quality, this is a nice window I always use. So you see that white sheen that's on it? It's just kind of like mimicking a reflection. If you come in here and you turn on a little bit of that ray tracing, it will give you a nice, a very nice reflection instead. See that change? That's a big change right there. And you're still above 60. So, I mean, this is a nice way to play it as well. You've got everything maxed out. You're only using quality DLSS, which, to be honest, at 1440 still looks really good. You could even go down to balanced and maybe drive up some of that ray tracing a little bit more. But, yeah, just kind of like playing with some of these settings and finding that balance of, like, what frame rate you can get, managing that VRAM. The VRAM looks good. You're at 6.3. Yeah, we're just going to go up one more ratchet here. And let's see what we can get away with. See if we can push it to a high ray tracing preset, even though medium looks really good still because you get those nice reflections in the glass. And that gives you just shy of 60. I mean, you could totally tolerate this. I think this would be more than fine. But, you know, if you want to drive it up a little bit more, you could turn on that balanced DLSS. So you could come in here and go up to a balanced preset, which is 835p, and get yourself right at 60. Is it worth it? I think it's okay. I mean, it still looks really good. I don't think that it's like giving up anything visually that bad at all. And you're able to run some ray tracing, which is really cool. So, yeah, I mean, you're looking at a game that, with a little bit of age on it, I think a 50-50 could absolutely be a viable option for a lot of people, especially if you're not really worried about playing like the absolute latest and greatest titles at 4K. You could get this GPU kind of get your feet wet in the PC gaming world, maybe upgrade a little bit later on. I paired this with an i5. It's a 14600, so this would scale well. So, you know, in a few years, if I wanted to jump up to maybe a 70s series card, I think that this GPU or this CPU would hold on just fine. And you could definitely kind of look at it that way. Like, get yourself a system that's up and running, get yourself some games to play, and you know, just fill it out and kind of have maybe a plan to upgrade later, sell this off and upgrade it later. A lot of people do that. That's the beauty of modular hardware. But yeah, let's just jump over here and see what the very next level can do. So we're going to go to performance. We're just going to check that out. So the render resolution, we need to just drop that down to performance, which is half the resolution. So we're at 1440 here, 720p there. And let's see what that does. See if that gets us a nice boost. It gets us about 6 or 7 more FPS from where we were, maybe 10 here and there. Oh, looks like a nice jump. We're almost at 80. So it looks like we might be able, just maybe, be able to turn on the highest level of ray tracing even at 1440. If we use a performance DLSS setting, which you can absolutely do. Oops, that's not the right button. All right, let's go to an ultra ray tracing, and let's see what that does. That gets us a pretty big hit, but you're still right there at 60. I mean, you can play a game like this hovering between 55 and 65 or so, depending, again, where you're at, what you're doing. Again, this game is kind of forgiving because it's just a series of rooms. And some are bigger, some are, you know, some have more effects and that kind of stuff. So you might need to set your expectation accordingly. But, you know, with everything maxed out at 1440, you're looking like you might be able to get away with a really good experience. Now, I'm going to just jump over to a 4K experience only because I'm super curious. I'm going to jump over here, kick on that 4K, and start at what I think would probably be a pretty good setting. So 4K, we're going to definitely go down to a performance DLSS setting, which would be 1080p, which is going to upscale really nicely. It's going to look really good. I'm going to turn on, or turn off rather, this ray tracing. I think this would be a good starting point. Let's just kind of explore from here. And that's going to give us 61 FPS. Of course, we've given up ray tracing, which bummer. But we are at about a 55 FPS experience. And right now, I would probably say that you would likely not be able to do ray tracing outside of potentially a low ray tracing preset. Let's come over here to these windows that have this like wash on them, these white washes that are all over these windows that kind of mimic a reflection. Let's just turn on a little bit of that ray tracing. Come in here. All right, so ray tracing medium, that's going to give us those nice reflections. Look at there. Looks really good, although it did tank our FPS pretty badly. We're at 31 FPS. Probably wouldn't go ray tracing on 4K. It just seems like it's way too much at that resolution for this card to handle it well. But, you know, it's not crashing. That's a good sign. So, you know, I'd probably just have to say you would not be able to do ray tracing. All right, so with that ultra preset, we're still at 30 FPS. Sorry I had to cut there. Did not realize that I was changing the MSA, not FrameGen. This game doesn't appear to have FrameGen in it, so ignore any reference to FrameGen. I'm very sorry about that. I'm trying to, you know, go too fast, I believe. So anyway, 30 FPS here, 38 FPS, depending on where you're at. You did get some reflections that are nice. So if you prefer the reflections and you don't really mind going down on your preset, let's see what it would take to potentially go up to a medium with the ray trace reflections and see if that gives us a boost. Not really much of one. That just kind of proves that ray tracing is just not doable on this resolution. But the other resolutions, you can definitely get away with at least some ray tracing if you use it in conjunction with the DLSS. So I'm going to take this moment to thank everyone for watching all the way to the end. If you like this kind of content, please jump down there, give me a like, give me a comment. Let me know if you want to see a particular game on a card, and we will see you in the very next one. Peace.